I stood in the gleaming kitchen of the Belmont estate, the most exclusive wedding venue in the city, watching waiters rush past with champagne flutes and canapés destined for my brother's perfect wedding. The pristine marble countertops reflected the overhead lights, making everything sparkle. Everything except my seat, a metal folding chair tucked between the industrial dishwasher and the prep station. Servants eat in the kitchen, my brother Marcus had sneered when I arrived, looking resplendent in his designer tuxedo. We can't have you embarrassing us in front of Catherine's family. They're old money. I smoothed down my simple black dress, Dior, though they'd never recognize that, and took my assigned seat, just another shadow in their perfect day. The kitchen staff shot me sympathetic glances, not realizing that I was signing their paychecks. You see, while my family thought I was struggling to make ends meet with my little hospitality consulting business, I had quietly built Aurora Venues, the largest luxury event management company on the East Coast. The Belmont estate was just one of 12 properties I owned, though it was my favorite, which made it particularly ironic that Marcus had chosen it for his wedding. Miss Winters. Maria, my head of operations, approached discreetly. The Wellington merger documents arrived. Should I have them sent to your office? No, I replied softly. I'll review them here. After all, what better place to negotiate a $50 million acquisition than from my servant's seat at my brother's wedding? Through the kitchen's swing doors, I could hear the reception in full swing. My parents' voices carried clearly. They always did when they were bragging about their children. Well, their favorite child. Marcus has done so well, my mother gushed to anyone who would listen. Youngest partner at Sterling Law, and now marrying into the Campbell family. We couldn't be prouder. I took a sip of water from my plastic cup, remembering last month's family dinner when she'd had quite a different tone about her other child. Hospitality consulting? She'd sighed heavily. Olivia, darling, when are you going to do something meaningful with your life? Your brother was already making partner while you were still serving drinks in hotel bars. If only she knew that those years serving drinks were actually me learning every aspect of the luxury hospitality industry from the ground up. Every position, every detail, every element that would eventually help me build my empire. More champagne for the head table. Marcus's voice boomed through the service window. And make sure it's the expensive stuff, not whatever you're serving the regular guests. I pulled out my phone, sending a quick text to Maria. Bring up the Krug Claus Diambonne 1998. Let's see if my brother can tell the difference between a $400 bottle and a $4,000 one. Maria suppressed a smile. Right away, Miss Winters. Through the window, I watched my family holding court at the head table. Marcus and his bride Catherine, both glowing with privileged confidence. My parents, basking in reflected glory. Catherine's family, the Campbells, radiating old money disdain for anyone they deemed beneath them. None of them knew that the elegant estate where they were celebrating, with its manicured gardens and historic architecture, belonged to the daughter they'd banished to the kitchen. The failure who'd never amount to anything. My phone buzzed again. A message from my board. Wellington family accepts merger terms. Aurora Venues, now largest luxury event company in North America. Press release ready for Monday. I allowed myself a small smile. While my brother was celebrating his marriage into old money, I was building new wealth, legitimate wealth, earned through years of careful planning and hard work. Miss Winters. One of the newer servers approached nervously. Your brother is complaining about the table settings. He says they're not what he ordered. Actually, I replied, reviewing the contract on my tablet, they're exactly what he ordered. The premium package he wanted was $10,000 more, but he said it wasn't worth the money. The server looked confused. But you're his sister. Couldn't you have given him a discount? I finished. No. In business, family connections mean nothing. Quality and fair pricing mean everything. Through the kitchen doors, I could hear Marcus holding forth about his recent legal victories, about the cases he'd won and the clients he'd impressed. What he didn't know was that 3 of those clients had recently signed exclusive venue contracts with Aurora Venues, contracts that would bring millions in revenue to the sister he'd relegated to the kitchen. My phone lit up with another message, this one from Catherine's father, William Campbell. Meeting tomorrow to discuss venue acquisition. Eager to expand our hospitality portfolio. If only he knew he was trying to buy properties from the woman his daughter had just dismissed as the help. Monday's merger announcement would be quite a shock to the Campbell family's old money sensibilities. The wedding cake arrived, a towering creation of white chocolate and gold leaf that cost more than a car. As the pastry chef wheeled it through the kitchen, I remembered another conversation from last month's family dinner. "Really, Olivia," Marcus had smirked, "how much money can there be in telling hotels how to arrange their furniture? Some of us work in serious professions." The cake passed by my metal folding chair, and I thought about the numbers in my latest quarterly report. Aurora Venues had cleared $100 million in profit last quarter alone. Somehow I didn't think that qualified as arranging furniture. The kitchen doors swung open again and Catherine swept in, her designer wedding dress rustling against the industrial appliances. She paused when she saw me, her perfect features arranging themselves into a practiced look of concern. "Oh, Olivia," she said, her voice dripping with false sympathy, "you really should have worked harder in life. Then maybe you could be out there with the successful people instead of, well..." She gestured vaguely at my surroundings. I took another sip of water from my plastic cup, thinking about the merger documents waiting for my signature. About Monday's announcement that would shock the social circles Catherine held so dear. About the moment coming very soon, when they would all learn exactly who owned the ground they were standing on. "Don't worry about me, Catherine," I said quietly. "I'm exactly where I need to be." She left with a patronizing smile, never suspecting that the woman she just pitted could buy and sell her family's entire fortune without blinking. But then again, that was how I'd built my empire. Letting people underestimate me while I quietly acquired everything they valued. The wedding reception continued above, a symphony of privilege and pretension. And I sat in my kitchen chair, running my company from my phone, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal that the servant they'd hidden away was actually the owner of it all. Sometimes the best revenge isn't immediate. Sometimes it's about waiting for exactly the right moment to show them exactly who you've become. And that moment was coming very soon. The reception was in full swing when Maria approached me again, her expression carefully neutral. "Miss Winters, there's a situation with the payment. Mr. Sterling's credit card was declined." I glanced at my phone, checking the time. 9:45 p.m. The perfect moment was approaching faster than I'd planned. "Let me guess," I said quietly, "he's demanding to speak with the owner?" Maria nodded, suppressing a smile. "He's quite insistent. Mr. Campbell is with him, both threatening to ruin our reputation if we don't sort this out immediately." I stood up, smoothing my dress. "Well, we can't keep our distinguished guests waiting, can we?" As I approached the kitchen doors, I could hear Marcus's voice getting louder, that familiar tone of entitled rage he'd perfected over years of getting his way. "Do you know who I am?" he was shouting at Thomas, our venue manager. "Do you have any idea who the Campbells are? Get me the owner right now." "Of course, sir," Thomas replied, catching my eye through the window. "The owner is already here." I pushed through the doors, stepping from the kitchen's fluorescent glare into the warm lighting of the grand ballroom. The contrast was striking: crystal chandeliers instead of steel fixtures, fine china instead of industrial kitchenware, and my brother's face turning from arrogant confidence to confused anger. "Olivia, get back in the kitchen," he hissed. "This doesn't concern you." "Actually," I said, my voice carrying in the sudden quiet, "it concerns me quite a bit. I believe you were asking for the owner." William Campbell stepped forward, his bow tie slightly askew from too much champagne. "Young lady, this is a private matter between myself and whoever owns this establishment." "Yes," I smiled, "it is. And as the owner of the Belmont Estate and Aurora Venues, I'm here to discuss your declined payment." The silence that followed was absolute. Even the string quartet stopped playing. That's impossible," Marcus stammered. "You can't own this place. You're a consultant. A nobody." "A nobody?" I pulled out my phone, pulling up the property deeds. "Would you like to see the documentation? Or perhaps the quarterly reports showing how Aurora Venues became the largest luxury event company in the region?" My mother's champagne glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the marble floor. My father's face had gone pale. Catherine stood frozen, her perfect wedding day crumbling around her. "While you were all busy mocking my career choices," I continued, "I was building something. Every hotel bar I worked in, every event I planned, every detail I learned, it was all part of a larger plan. But the Campbell name, William sputtered. Our reputation in the hospitality industry is precisely why you've been trying to buy properties from Aurora Venues, I finished for him. Those meetings you scheduled for tomorrow? They were with me, though I suspect you'll want to cancel now. Marcus lunged forward, his face purple with rage. You set this up. You let us plan this whole wedding knowing. Knowing what? I cut him off. Knowing that you'd choose my venue because it's the best? Knowing that you'd treat me like a servant in my own building? Or knowing that your credit cards would be declined because you've been living beyond your means, counting on Campbell family connections to save you? The truth hit him like a physical blow. He'd chosen the Belmont estate to impress his new in-laws, never bothering to verify if he could actually afford it. The full payment for today's events, I announced clearly, was due an hour ago. As per our contract, failure to pay means immediate termination of services. You wouldn't dare, Catherine gasped. Not at your own brother's wedding. In business, I replied, echoing words they'd thrown at me countless times. Family connections mean nothing. Quality and payment mean everything. I nodded to Maria, who began directing staff to shut down service. The lights dimmed slightly, the music stopped, and the champagne stopped flowing. You have 30 minutes to conclude your celebration, I informed them. After that, the Belmont estate will be closing for the evening. The chaos that erupted was magnificent. Catherine's mother fainted. William Campbell started shouting about his lawyers. My parents stood frozen, watching their perfect family image shatter like my mother's champagne glass. But I wasn't done yet. The best part was still to come. The aftermath of my revelation unfolded exactly as I'd anticipated. Marcus, his face still flushed with rage and humiliation, tried one last attempt at control. You can't do this, he growled, grabbing my arm. I'm your brother. I calmly removed his hand. Interesting. I wasn't your sister when you made me sit in the kitchen. I wasn't your sister when you mocked my career for years. But now that you need something, suddenly we're family. Miss Winters, Maria interrupted smoothly, the press release about the Wellington merger just went live. All major business networks are picking it up. As if on cue, phones throughout the ballroom started buzzing. The Campbells, so proud of their old money connections, watched in horror as their social circle learned in real time that their new in-law had humiliated them at a venue owned by the woman they treated like staff. Aurora Venues acquires Wellington properties for $400 million. William Campbell read aloud, his voice shaking. CEO Olivia Winters becomes youngest hospitality mogul in the country. Catherine's perfect makeup was streaking with tears. Daddy, do something. Oh, there's more, I said, nodding to Thomas, who distributed elegant envelopes to key guests. Inside you'll find proof that the Campbell family has been trying to acquire Aurora Venues properties through various shell companies, using insider information obtained through rather questionable means. William Campbell's face went from red to white. Those meetings were confidential. They were, I agreed. And attempting to use my brother's wedding to gather competitive intelligence was clever. But I've been recording everything since you arrived. My mother finally found her voice. Olivia, please. We can talk about this. We're family. Family. I turned to her. Let's talk about family, Mother. Let's talk about every dinner where you dismissed my work. Every holiday where you seated me at the children's table because I wasn't successful enough for the main table. Every time you told relatives I was still finding myself while praising Marcus's achievements. The venue staff continued their efficient shutdown, dimming lights, clearing tables, each action a reminder of who really held power here. The Belmont estate is closing, I announced to the stunned crowd. Though you might be interested to know that this entire evening, every dismissive comment, every condescending look, every moment you treated me like staff in my own building, has been documented. I'm sure the social pages will find it fascinating. You destroy your own brother's wedding memories? Marcus demanded. No, I replied calmly. I'm preserving them, so you never forget the day you learned what real success looks like. As security began politely but firmly ushering guests toward the exits, I turned to the Campbells. Oh, and William, those acquisition meetings tomorrow? Consider them cancelled. Aurora Venues isn't for sale, at any price. The next morning, every major business publication carried the story. Hidden hospitality queen. How Olivia Winters Built a Luxury Empire in Secret. The social pages were even more brutal. Society wedding scandal. Old money meets new power. My phone was flooded with messages. Mother, please, let's talk about this as a family. Marcus, you've ruined everything. I'll sue you. Catherine, Daddy's friends are canceling business with us. William Campbell, we can work something out. I forwarded them all to my legal team and focused on running my company. A week later, I hosted an event at the Belmont Estate, a charity gala benefiting hospitality education for underprivileged youth. The same social circle that had watched my brother's wedding implode now lined up to shake my hand, to praise my business acumen, to pretend they'd always seen my potential. My family tried different approaches. Marcus, his legal threats proving empty, attempted reconciliation. Come on, Liv. We can help each other. Think of the connections we could share. Connections. I replied during his uncomfortable visit to my office. The real one, occupying the top floor of a downtown high-rise. Like the connections you shared when you made me eat in the kitchen? My parents switched between guilt and bargaining. We just wanted you to have a stable career, my mother pleaded. Law, medicine, something normal. Normal. I showed her Aurora Venue's latest valuation. Is this normal enough for you? The Campbells, their old money influence waning, tried to salvage their reputation. William Campbell even offered to make me a partner in his family's businesses. Thank you, I told him, but I prefer to own things outright.